Hello, Coffer fam! It's January, yes, the time of the year when the transfer window is open. And Liverpool needs some signings. Who would you like to sign?
We do indeed. I mean, I'm up for getting anyone, as long as they're better than these 10. This is Copper 90, and these are the top 10 biggest transfer flops.
At 10, it's Steve Walley. The French striker had not exactly been prolific at Lyon, scoring 13 times in 36 appearances, and it was evident pretty quickly that Fulham had spent way too much on him when they bought him for 11.5 mil. He was unable to replicate any sort of form in West London with 11 goals in 54 appearances. And Fulham owner, Mohamed Al Fayed, was so angry about the signing that he took his manager, John Tagana, to court claiming he had deliberately spent too much on him.
At 9, it's Karason. The Brazilian striker was supposed to be the next big thing, and this prompted Barcelona to shell out 14 million euros for him in 2009. Officially a Barca player from 2009 to 2014, Karason never played a first-team match for them, instead spending the entire time loaned out to clubs before being released on a free when his contract expired.
At 8, it's Jonathan Woodgate for his move from Newcastle United to Real Madrid. Woodgate didn't have the best start at Madrid, where injury was to rule him out of making his debut for 13 months. But when he did make his first start, I bet he wished he hadn't even bothered, as he scored a known goal and got sent off. He only played a handful more games before moving back to England, and readers of the Spanish newspaper Marca voted him the worst signing of the 21st century.
At 7, it's another Brazilian wonder kid, Vinicius. After a number of good performances for Brazil and his club team, Sao Paulo, Real Betis signed Vinicius for a then world record transfer fee. But the mercurial winger's form was unable to justify such a lofty price tag. He did spend 7 seasons at Betis, playing nearly 200 times and contributing 13 goals, before moving to Bordeaux, which began a series of free transfers.
At 6, it's Andrei Shevchenko and his move from Milan to Chelsea. Sheva was arguably one of the best strikers in Europe during the first half of the 2000s, and while his form was dipping, that didn't stop Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich splashing out an incredible 30-odd mil for him. Despite scoring on his debut, goals proved hard to come by, and he was soon dropped for Didier Drogba by Jose Mourinho. After an unhappy 3 years, the Ukrainian was finally put out of his misery and loaned back to AC Milan in 2008.
At 5, it's Mendieta for his big money move from Valencia to Lazio. Mendieta was considered the hottest property in Spain after 8 successful seasons at Valencia. So when Lazio needed a replacement for Pavel Nedved, he seemed the perfect choice. And yet, for whatever reason, it just didn't work out for him. And the player voted the best midfielder in Europe the previous 2 seasons was a pale imitation of that player. Such were his performances that he was loaned out after just a season and never returned to the club.
At 4, it's Roberto Soldado. In the summer of 2013, Spurs sold Gareth Bale to Real Madrid and had cash to burn as they tried to rebuild their team. Enter Soldado. He had a decent pedigree, with over 80 goals for Valencia, but that didn't count for much, despite a promising start that saw him score 4 goals in the first 3 games, albeit with 3 penalties. But that was as good as it got for Soldado. But while he's still at Spurs, he's only scored a few more times and has become a figure of fun in the media for his many misses.
At 3, it's Kaka and his move to Real Madrid. Alright, he's not a name you generally associate with failure, but his time at Madrid was anything but a success. Kaka was one of the best players in the world when he arrived at the Bernabeu. With him and the addition of Cristiano Ronaldo just 3 days afterwards, Madrid looked set to dominate in Spain and Europe. It wasn't to be though. Real found themselves in the shadow of Barcelona, and Kaka found himself in the shadow of Cristiano Ronaldo. Over the following 4 seasons with Real Madrid, Kaka could only manage 29 goals in 120 total appearances.
At number 2, it's Fernando Torres, aka Fernando Scoreless. Chelsea broke the bank and made Torres their record signing on a dramatic deadline day in January 2011. He seemed an obvious purchase. After 4 years of impressing at Liverpool with 81 goals in 142 appearances, but the Spanish international could not replicate the performances. He would win an FA Cup, Europa League, a Champions League while at Chelsea, but the stats of 172 appearances over 4 years and 45 goals make for a poor return for such a huge fee.
And at number 1 is Andy Carroll. On the same day that Chelsea bought Torres, Liverpool spent £35 million on Andy Carroll from Newcastle. The big English striker had 11 goals in 20 appearances that season, and this persuaded Liverpool to pay a British record fee for him. He may have a better touch than most give him credit for, but ultimately Carroll is a big target man, and he never fitted into the Anfield tactics. He did bumble through a couple years at Anfield, scoring not many goals and generally looking out of his depth, before leaving for West Ham.
Alright, let's be honest. There's a lot more we could have chosen, but that is our top 10.
If you don't agree, leave a comment and let us know who your top 10 transfer flops are.